Hey, today I have yet another webinar where I try to be useful and talk about credit cards for beginners. So people who are new to the game of credit cards, you want to find out more, this is the webinar for you. So in this webinar, I will be talking about the requirements when it comes to credit cards, okay, how much you must earn, how old you must be, etc. Okay, the pros and cons of credit cards and the different types of credit cards that are available in the market. And of course, we have to talk about cashback versus miles. I'll keep it brief. But yeah, we have to compare between the two, and of course some suggestions of credit cards that will be useful and easy to use for beginners, and lastly some information that I think newcomers might find useful when it comes to credit cards. This video is brought to you by Weeboo, and don't click away because they are giving away free shares when you download the app through satisfy.com/Weeboo and meet a few easy requirements. Now check out the description box for promo details. And on top of that, Weeboo also offers 0% commission and platform fees. Plus, it allows fractional trading, which means you can trade from as low as $5. So it's super easy and low cost to invest. Thanks to Weeboo for sponsoring this video, and back to the webinar. Credit cards in Singapore require you to be 21 years old at least, earn an income of $30,000, and if you don't have an income of $30,000, you can also apply for secured credit cards with some banks. They offer this option where you put a fixed deposit of, let's say, $10,000, $20,000, and then they let you apply for the card without an annual income. And foreigners tend to have higher income requirements, so check with the specific credit card that you are trying to apply with. Now, most credit cards also come with annual fees, but you should try to get them waived as far as possible. If not, you can just cancel them, because nobody should be paying annual fees for most credit cards, except for those cards that actually give you perks for paying the annual fee. Now, there are many benefits to using a credit card, which is why we are using credit cards in the first place. And the number one reason would be the great rewards that come with the cards, be it cashback, miles, or points. So we get to earn back some rebate on our spending. We also get free cash flow on our spending, because when I pay for something with my credit card today, I don't have to pay it back until my statement is due. So that's about 30 to 50 days of interest-free cash flow. We also get great perks offered by the credit card, such as lounge access and other perks that we'll cover later on in this webinar. Also, you get buyer's protection. So let's say you pay for something using your credit card and the product does not match the description. Credit cards companies actually offer protection. You can actually request for a chargeback and get your money back. Now, obviously, there are also downsides to using your credit cards, and the number one would be it has a lot of fees, such as late fees if you fail to make your payment on time. It also comes with killer interest, very, very crazy. I think 21 or 24%. I can't remember the amount, but it's something ridiculous, and you should not be paying your bills late to avoid such fees. Also, credit cards tend to encourage spending. With all the perks and rewards, they're actually trying to make you associate spending with rewards, and that encourages you to spend more. That is something I experienced for myself. So yeah, that's one of the things you should take note of. Credit cards actually try to make you spend more than necessary. Now, a great poet once said this, and I cannot agree more. It also applies to credit cards, because when used properly, you can get a lot of rewards and perks. But if you fall victim to credit cards and pay a lot of late fees and interest, you might find yourself in a debt that you cannot climb out of. Alright, and the poet is none other than Lady Gaga. Now, credit cards, being a line of credit offered to you by banks, affects your credit report, and I actually talked about this in a separate video, so you can check that out. But it is not all negative. It can actually help you to build your credit history so that you actually improve your credit report to show that you are someone who repays on time versus someone who has never taken out a loan or have no credit cards. That is actually unknown risk to the bank, and therefore they prefer to see someone with a history of paying back their loans on time. And a credit card is a very useful way to build that credit history when you're a young working adult. And in any case, credit report, in my opinion, is not such a big deal. It's not something like in the US where credit score matters a lot. In Singapore, unless your credit report is horrifically bad, I don't think it actually affects your loan application that much. Myself, I have applied for 20, 30 over cards. I had no issue with my mortgage or any other loans whatsoever. So I don't think it's that big a deal. I don't know why people are so obsessed with their credit report. They just want to see that double A, I guess. Yeah, just Singaporeans and our fascination with getting good grades. When it comes to income requirements for credit cards, it starts all the way from $30,000 to even $500,000, and some cards even have an unspecified income requirement rumored to be $1 million. But most cards actually start off at $30,000 because that's the legal requirement. Everything else is set by the bank, and luckily most of the good credit cards actually fall within the $30,000 category. Yeah, so you are not actually missing out on much if you don't meet the $500,000 income requirement for some of the higher end credit cards. Now when it comes to the different type of cards, mainly we have cashback cards and points cards, which can also be used to redeem cashback, shopping vouchers, airline miles. But because airline miles tend to be the most valuable redemption you can make with your points, people tend to see point cards as mile cards. But you can also choose to redeem for cashback or shopping vouchers. I will do a brief comparison between cashback and miles so you have a better idea on which one to go for. And I will say that cashback is quite straightforward. People generally know the concept. It's quite easy to learn. Cash is also king. You can use cash for anything, not just flights. There are minimum spends that you have to achieve with most cashback cards, so people find that a bit of an annoyance. And cashback tends to be boring compared to business class flights that you can redeem with airline miles. For miles, they are easy to earn, I would say, and you can get premium flights for a lot cheaper than if you were to buy them from the airline. So you get experiences that you normally wouldn't have bought. However, it also requires a certain amount of spending before you get enough points to redeem those flights in the first place. But they tend to be quite a hassle because you need to keep track of expiry dates, you need to research which airline is the best to redeem your points for, you need to go and book the flight, you need to wait list, etc. So it's not as straightforward as cashback directly credited to your statement every month. And so yeah, these are the pros and cons of cashback and miles. So when it comes to cashback and miles, I would say that cashback is a little bit more difficult to earn because of all the minimum spend required by most of the good cards, whereas miles, they are very, very easy to earn. However, cashback is very fast free to redeem, whereas miles is quite a troublesome affair redeeming those points. And cashback has a very low learning curve, whereas miles has a steep learning curve. Now I've covered cashback and miles in my previous webinar, so you can check that out after you watch this webinar for deeper information on cashback and miles. Now within the categories of cashback and miles, there are also different types of cards, and I will list them as cards with good earn rates. So we get these cards because they get us high amounts of cashback or miles. And then there are cards that are good for sign-up bonuses, and then perhaps they are not that good on a day-to-day use. There are cards that give us perks instead of good earn rates, so we use those cards for the benefits that it affords us, such as lounge access, not so much for the earn rate again. And lastly, foreigners, I think I didn't edit the slide, this should not be here. Now when it comes to giving sign-up gifts, banks tend to be a lot more generous if you're a new to bank customer, and they tend to define this as someone who doesn't have their cards or have not had their cards for the past 12 months. So if you're completely new to the game of credit cards, you're considered new to bank. But if you have signed up for a card with a bank and then cancelled it, you have to wait 12 months before you are eligible again. Now, if you have a student credit card with one of the banks, you tend to be considered an existing customer and therefore not eligible for their very generous gifts for new to bank customers. So if you have a student card with one of the banks, I would suggest you cancel them as soon as possible and then wait 12 months to sign up again. Now, there are bank offers. There are also offers from aggregators such as SingSaver, and I'm a SingSaver affiliate, so go to my website satisfy.com/cards and you'll find all the different card promos, and yeah, get yourself some generous sign-up gifts and support me making more videos like this in future. Now, when it comes to the perks offered by credit cards, there are really a lot of different kind of perks depending on the card you apply for. Generally, you can look for things like lounge access. Some cards also give you hotel memberships upgrade. Some other cards even give you free parking, like Capital Card gives you free parking at Capital Malls if you hit a certain level of spend. So this is really very varied, very wide, so it depends on the card you're applying for. Now, if you're looking for suggestions on cashback cards that are very easy to use, I would say that the UOB Absolute card paired with your GrabPay MasterCard is very hard to beat, because all you have to do is just top up your Grab wallet with the UOB Absolute and you get 1.7% cashback on your UOB Absolute, and then you use your GrabPay MasterCard to make payment and you get Grab points for that, and that comes up to about 2.9% if you're a platinum Grab member, which is quite easy to get. Yeah, so that is almost 3% of rebate by doing nothing much. Now, Citi Cashback card is also a very easy to use card, but it is mainly for groceries, dining and petrol. For me, I use this as a grocery card, so I will buy $1,000 of NTUC Fair Price gift card, and then I will use that gift card over the next few months for my grocery spend, and once I run out, I use this card again to buy another $1,000 because it gives a generous 8% cashback. Now, I've made a video on this, so go and check it out. Now, if you are willing to put in a little bit more work, you can consider the OCBC FRANK card, which gives you 6% cashback, but now you must balance between online spending as well as contactless spending. But even if you use this all on contactless, I think if you spend $600 on contactless, you get about 4% cashback, which is not too bad as well. Very similar to OCBC FRANK would be the UOB Evo as well. This one also requires you to split your spending between online and contactless payments, and if you can do so, you get an optimal 6.67% cashback. Now, if you can spend within the different categories offered by Maybank Family and Friends card, you can also get a staggering 8% cashback per month. Check out my video on the Maybank Family and Friends card for more information. When it comes to mile cards that are easy to use, I would suggest the HSBC Revolution or the UOB Preferred Platinum cards, because they are generally quite easy to use and gives you 4 miles per dollar for most online and contactless payments. You can also consider the Citi Rewards card paired with the Maze card. This actually is a little bit of a hack that gives you 4 miles per dollar on any spend, because the Amaze card actually converts all transactions to online ones, and Citi Rewards only give you 4 miles per dollar on online transactions. So yeah, this is a little workaround that gets you 4 miles per dollar on most spend you can put on this combination while it lasts, because who knows when Citi will actually exclude Amaze transactions like DBS did. So these are the cards that you can look at for miles. Check out my miles webinar for more suggestions. Now, when it comes to cards with sign-up gifts, go to my website for the most up-to-date and current promos. Often you'll find hundreds of dollars, free iPad, free gadgets, those sort of things. So head over, get yourself a card or two, enjoy those rewards, and you also keep me making more content. Now, when do you actually pay for your credit card? I think people who are new to credit cards might find this information useful. Let's say this is the start and the end of your month, and you make all your spending, your dining, your gym membership, your shopping, etc. within this month. You actually have about 20 to 25 days after your month ends where the due date occurs. Now, do take note that the month can be calendar month. It can also be your billing month, which may start let's say 8th of August, then end on the 7th of September. So do keep track of your credit card statement. You can often request your credit card company to change the billing month to be in sync with calendar month for easier organization, but that's up to you and up to the bank to approve. So after the end of the month, you often have 25 days to make payment, and this is interest free. Now, the moment you cross your due date, bad things happen like late fees and interest. Now, late fees can be quite a lot. Some banks charge as much as $100 the moment you cross your due date without paying. And interest is also ridiculous. It's like 21%. I can't remember, but it's crazy amount of money. Now, in case you're thinking of paying the minimum, right? Okay, if you pay the minimum, you actually don't have to pay for late fees, but you will still have to pay for interest on the amounts you owe. And the answer, my answer to that, whether or not you should just pay the minimum, is a big fat no, because the interest will just keep accumulating and you'll find yourself spiral into credit card debt, and that's not something that any prudent person should find themselves in. Now, there are several ways to pay your credit card, and if you have a banking account with the same bank your credit card is from, you can often use your banking portal to transfer money from your bank account to the credit card itself. Otherwise, you can use Fast to transfer money to your 16-digit credit card number. So all you have to do is just set up a Fast recipient, enter your 16-digit credit card number into the account number, and it should work for most banks. You can also use AXS machine or online access to pay for your credit card bills. And of course, you can also put your card bills on gyro, and then you'll be automatically deducted from your bank account every time your payment is due. Now, there are a lot of miscellaneous things to take note of also when it comes to credit cards, and some of the things I can think of will be like statement versus calendar month. It might not necessarily be the same. For example, August in your statement month might mean August 8th to September 8th. Yeah, so spending within this period will be in your August statement. Now, some people prefer it to be the same as their calendar month, so you can actually call your bank to see whether they are willing to change for you. Yeah, just take note for rewards tracking, for transaction tracking, some cards go by statement rather than calendar month. There's also transaction date versus posting date for credit cards. Transaction date means the date where you make your spending, and posting date is when the merchant actually goes to the credit card company and gets the money or something like that. So there's usually a lag time of a few days in between, and that can screw up your rewards, because there are many cards that actually go by posting date rather than transaction date. What I mean is this: let's say you need to make a minimum spend of $800 within August, and you go and do it on the 31st of August, and the merchant only posts the transaction on 2nd September, actually you have missed your August spend requirement because of the posting date issue. Now, there are a few cards that go by transaction date, but by far, I think most cards go by posting date. So you have to make sure that your spend is done earlier to avoid such issues. And that's one of the annoyances that it comes with credit cards. So take note of the transaction date versus posting date issue. Now, when it comes to contactless payment, do take note whether the bank specifies that you need to add the card to your phone or not. Cards like OCBC FRANK as well as UOB Evo, I know, require you to add the card to your phone, because using the card for contactless payment actually does not count for their reward. So do take note of that. Lastly, there's also this thing called merchant category code, which is the different code that's assigned to each retailer. So you can go and use your Maybank family and friends card at a restaurant that looks like a restaurant, but then it turns out it's using the fast food merchant code, and therefore you don't get your 8% for dining. So this is another annoyance when it comes to credit cards. So do take note of the MCC when you are buying for things. Now, there used to be a way to find MCC very easily, but right now it's just sharing and word of mouth. And if you find that a particular merchant has a questionable MCC code, then you have to switch your credit card according to it. So yeah, this is another thing that newcomers to credit cards might not know of, but I think it's good to take note of, so that you don't lose your rewards. Now, the game of credit cards can get a bit more complex, so if you have any questions, go to my Telegram group to ask. There are a lot of helpful members that will chip in with their answers, and if I know the answer, I will also answer you. Yes, or you can also leave a comment in this YouTube video, and I'll try to help as much as I can. Okay, so I find that making this guide actually is quite difficult, because it's been so many years since I got my first credit card, and I can't really remember all the doubts and questions I had at that time. So this is as much as I can remember. Do let me know in the comments if you need further assistance or you have any questions that you want to ask, and I'll try my best to help. If you like my content, okay, obviously do drop me a like, right? Subscribe to my Telegram group, and I'll see you next video.